1920. Mrs. Corbett's How to Improve Your Eyes, Los Angeles, 1938, and The Improvement of Sight by Natural Methods by C.S. Price, MBE, D.O., London, 1934. All have their merits, but in none, of those at least that I have read, has an attempt been made to do what I have tried to do in the present volume, namely to correlate the methods of visual education with the findings of modern psychology and critical philosophy. My purpose in making this correlation is to demonstrate the essential reasonableness of a method, which turns out to be nothing more nor less than the practical application to the problems of vision of certain theoretical principles universally accepted as true. Why, it may be asked, have orthodox ophthalmologists failed to make these applications of universally accepted principles? The answer is clear. Ever since ophthalmology became a science, its practitioners have been obsessively preoccupied with only one aspect of the total, complex process of seeing, the physiological. They have paid attention exclusively to eyes, not at all to the mind, which makes use of the eyes to see with. I have been treated by men of the highest eminence in their profession, but never once did they so much as faintly hint that there might be a mental side to vision, or that there might be wrong ways of using the eyes and mind as well as right ways, unnatural and abnormal modes of visual functioning as well as natural and normal ones. After checking the acute infection in my eyes, which they did with the greatest skill, they gave me some artificial lenses and let me go. Whether I used my mind and bespectacled eyes well or badly, and what might be the effect upon my vision of improper use, were to them, as to practically all other orthodox ophthalmologists, matters of perfect indifference. To Dr. Bates, on the contrary, these things were not matters of indifference, and because they were not, he worked out, through long years of experiment and clinical practice, his peculiar method of visual education. That this method was essentially sound is proved by its efficacy. My own case is in no way unique. Thousands of other sufferers from defects of vision have benefited by following the simple rules of that art of seeing which we owe to Bates and his followers. To make this art more widely known is the final purpose of the present volume. Section 1, Chapter 1. Medicine and Effective Vision. Medicus curat, natura sanat. The doctor treats, nature heals. The old aphorism sums up the whole scope and purpose of medicine, which is to provide sick organisms with the internal and external conditions most favorable to the exercise of their own self-regulative and restorative powers. If there were no vis medicatrix naturae, no natural healing powers, medicine would be helpless, and every small derangement would either kill outright or settle down into chronic disease. When conditions are favorable, sick organisms tend to recover through their own inherent powers of self-healing. If they do not recover, it means either that the case is hopeless or that the conditions are not favorable. In other words, that the medical treatment being applied is failing to achieve what an adequate treatment ought to achieve. Ordinary treatment of defective sight. In the light of these general principles, let us consider the current medical treatment of defects of vision. In the great majority of cases, the only treatment consists in fitting the patient with artificial lenses designed to correct the particular error of refraction which is held to be responsible for the defect. Medicus curat. And in most cases, the patient is rewarded by an immediate improvement in vision. But in the meanwhile, what about nature and her healing process? Do glasses eliminate the causes of defective vision? Do the organs of sight tend to revert to normal functioning as the result of the treatment with artificial lenses? The answer to these questions is no. Artificial lenses neutralize the symptoms.